Hello and welcome to another episode of Environment This Week series section of Drishti IAS. I'm Aisha, and in today's episode we will be covering topics which are important from General Studies paper 3, that is Environment and Ecology. So we have taken news which are important or which has happened or taken place in the last 1 week, and what we will be doing is we have taken topics from the current and we will be delving deeper into the static portion of it. So the topics that we have discussed for today's episode are, that is teal carbon study, Culadeo National Park, lion-tailed macaw and ecocide. So these 4 topics is what we will be studying today. So let us talk about first about the first teal carbon study. So for the very first time teal carbon study has taken place, and India's first. So whenever there is something about India's first, it becomes all the more important because this can be asked in prelims as well as in mains. So India's first study on teal carbon was undertaken at Culadeo National Park in Rajasthan's Bharatpur district. So first topic is teal carbon, and after this we will be looking at the Culadeo National Park also. So what has this study talked about teal carbon is that the elevated methane emissions. So from teal carbons the methane emissions can take place, and which can lead to recommendation to use specialized biochar to reduce these levels. So what can happen is from the teal carbon methane emissions can take place. So to reduce the methane emissions, the biochar is recommended for the use. So biochar can be very helpful for increasing the farming productivity or for increasing the soil productivity also. Now let us talk about the teal carbon. Now teal carbon refers to a carbon which is stored in fresh water, non-tidal freshwater wetland. Non-tidal freshwater wetland means that the impact of tides cannot reach there, and that is why it is called non-tidal wetland, and it is a freshwater non-tidal wetland, including vegetation, microbial biomass, dissolved and particular organic matter. So this is what teal carbon is. You have to remember freshwater non-tidal wetlands, and they can be categorized based on its role in ecosystems, and its location distinguish it from black carbon and brown carbon. As carbon has many different types, like for example black carbon, brown carbon, and there are many other types of carbons also, and there is one more type of carbon, and that is teal carbon, that is freshwater non-tidal wetland. It gets stored there. Now what is its role in climate change? So it can play a crucial role in mitigating climate change by sequestering carbon. So it can help in reducing the impact of climate change, as teal carbon, or you can say the wetlands or teak carbon, it can become a good point where the carbon sequestration or the carbon sinkhole can take place, or it can work like carbon sinkhole or carbon sequestration. Raising groundwater levels, reducing urban heat island, controlling greenhouse gases and mitigating floods. Then comes the next point, and that is the primary reservoir. So what is the primary reservoir of the teal carbon? So where you can find the teal carbon? So the primary reservoir includes peatlands, freshwater swamps, natural freshwater marshes. These ecosystems are major contributors to the global carbon sequestration in total. So overall, if you will say that the process of carbon sequestration or carbon sink, where the carbon can be absorbed. So the peatlands, freshwater swamps or natural freshwater marshes, and teal carbon is also found in these places. Then the global storage of teal carbon across ecosystem is estimated at approximately 500.21 petagrams of carbon. So around 500.21 petagrams of carbon is what is the global storage of teal carbon. Now what are the threat from the teal carbon? So that is, they are highly vulnerable to degradation. Very highly vulnerable to degradation due to pollution, land use changes, water extraction and landscape modifications, which threaten their ability to store carbon and maintain ecological balance. So if any harm gets caused to the teal carbon, then the degradation of teal carbon takes place, and with that degradation it can emit harmful gases like methane or carbon dioxide, which can cause harm to the environment, and the greenhouse gases can also be released in the environment, and which will contribute in raising the levels of the climate change, and will also contribute in the global warming. So this is about teal carbon. Most important point is you need to know about the primary reservoir. Then you need to know about that they are stored in freshwater non-tidal wetlands. Then if degradation takes place, they can contribute in the emission of methane or carbon dioxide. Now coming to the next point, and that is the Culadio National Park. So the first news that we talked about is the teal carbon. So the first study of teal carbon has been done at the Culadio National Park. So Culadio National Park also comes to the news. And if we talk about the Culadio National Park, then it is situated in the state of Rajasthan. And this is the location of Culadio National Park. You can say it is situated in the eastern side. Now, what is Culadio National Park? It is situated in Rajasthan, and it is a wetland and a bird sanctuary, and it is also a UNESCO World Heritage Site which is located in Bharatpur, Rajasthan. Very important point. It is a wetland, it is a bird sanctuary, and it is also a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Then Chilika Lake in Odisha and the Culadio National Park in Rajasthan, they were recognized as the first Ramsar sites of India in the year 1981. So this becomes an important point for you to remember, that with Chilika Lake, Culadio National Park was also the first Ramsar site of India. Then Culadio National Park and Loktak Lake in Manipur are in the Montreux record. Chilika Lake was also there, but now Chilika Lake has come out. But the Culadio National Park and Loktak Lake in Manipur are under the Montreux record, and Montreux record comes under the Ramsar Convention, and it is a record of wetlands which needs protection. So from India, Culadio National Park and Loktak Lake of Manipur is a part of it. Then Culadio National Park is known for its rich avian diversity and abundance of water birds, because it is a bird sanctuary also, so many birds can be found there, and it is also home to around more than 365 species of birds, including several rare and threatened species, and Siberian cranes can also be found there. Then if we talk about the flora and the fauna, so the presence of flora and the fauna, so let us first talk about the fauna. So jackal, sambar, nilgai, wild cat, hyenas, wild boar, so these kind of fauna can be found there. And when we talk about the presence of flora, so that can be different vegetation types can be found there, like for example tropical dry deciduous forest, and this is intermixed with the dry grassland. So basically dry deciduous forest is found there, and there are two rivers also which passes through the Culadio National Park, and that is the river Gambhir and river Banganga. Now this is an important point, that the presence of river you must know. So the important point from here that the question can be asked is about the river. Then that Culadio National Park was with Chilika Lake was the first Ramsar site in India. It is a part of the Montreux record, and it is a wetland, bird sanctuary, and a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Now let us talk about the third news, which is the lion-tailed macaws. This is how it looks like. So if we talk about the lion-tailed macaw, then they are one of the smallest macaw species in the world, and the weight is from 2 to 10 kgs, and the body length is about 42 to 61 centimeter, and the tail that they have is around 25 centimeters. Then they have a black tuft which is more pronounced in male. Black, this is the tuft. and this is more pronounced in male as compared to the females. Then they are also known as the Wendru, and the lion-tailed macaws are solitary and shy in nature. They like to live in their own space. Then staying within their familiar range in hierarchical group of 10 to 20 members. So they like to stay in a group of around 10 to 20 members. The males are dominant members of the group, and they emit loud human-like whoops to communicate with their other members of the group. Then if we talk about the habitat of the lion-tailed macaw, then they are native to the fragmented rainforest. So they are basically found in the rainforests of Karnataka, Kerala and the Tamil Nadu in India's Western Ghats. So basically the area where you can find the lion-tailed macaw is the Western Ghats in India, and Western Ghats in India in itself are very famous for the rich biodiversity and the vast or the diverse presence of flora and fauna. Then they have approximately 2,500 mature individuals remaining. Now they live mostly in the upper canopy of tropical moist evergreen forest. Tropical moist evergreen forest. Then they primarily feed on fruits and seeds, but also consume leaves, birds, insects and small vertebrates, supporting their ecosystem's health. So in a way they are good also for the ecosystem, because they can remove the fallen leaves, birds, insects and small vertebrates by eating them. If we talk about the conservation status, important part from the exam respect, then the IUCN Red List status is endangered sites. They come under Appendix 1, and the Wildlife Protection Act 1972, they are under Schedule 1. So they are under the highest. So they are under the highest protection. Sites Appendix 1, Wildlife Protection Act under Schedule 1. Now let's talk about the threats and issues. What are the threats that they are facing? So the primary danger lies in the loss of their rainforest home. Loss of their rainforest home is because of the industrialization and also the urbanization process, that the forest area is being used for the development purposes. So the danger of losing their natural habitat is at risk. Then up to 99% of macaws original territory vanishing due to extensive deforestation for timber, agriculture and urbanization. Then if we talk about the behavioral shift, then the behavioral shift is also towards the human settlement, and with this the animal human conflict, this point can also come to the forefront. Then it is driven by a scarcity of natural food, habitat degradation, increased human activity and poor waste management. Now poor waste management is also a very big problem when we talk from the respect of the urban cities, or you can say the metropolitan cities, because how the waste is maintained there is very, very difficult, because the generation of waste is very high, while on the other hand the disposal rate is very low. So if the generation will be high and the disposal rate will be low, then with time this gap will keep on increasing, and at some point of time, slowly and a long period of time, and in a long period of time, this gap will increase, and the waste collection or the storage of waste will also increase. And so with that, the place needs to be found out where the collection of this waste can be done. So with that, the outer areas are usually found in cities or urban areas, and this outer area can be in the form of the forest. Then comes the next point, and that is the ecocide. Now the point of ecocide has come to the news because there are few countries, like the countries which are present in the Australia-Oceania region, or you can say the western arm of the Pacific Ocean, like the Vanuatu, Samoa or the Fiji island nations, and these are the island nations which are suffering the most from the climate change or the melting of the glacier or the ice sheets, because as the sea level will rise, these are the island nation which will be at the highest risk of drowning down. So on the on the same lines as genocide. These countries are demanding that the damage that human activities are causing to the ecosystem or the environment, this must also be regarded as a crime, an international crime, and the term that is given to is ecocide. Ecocide means that the human activities intentionally, that the humans which are doing harm or are causing harm to the environment, because of which the environment is having a negative impact on itself, they must be punished, and they must be punished in the form of making it an international crime. Now this is what is called the term ecocide. So what is ecocide? Let us look at the definition. Even though the legally accepted definition is not there, but ecocide is unlawful or wanton act committed with the knowledge that there is a substantial likelihood of severe and either widespread or long-term damage to the environment. Now this is what the definition of the ecocide is, that it is unlawful or wanton act and humans are doing this act. Then the biologist Arthur Galston in the year 1970 is credited to be the first to link environmental destruction with genocide. And after this, the one of the Scandinavian countries' prime minister has also raised this issue in the United Nations. And since the time of 1970s, the point or the concept of ecocide has remained in the news. Then if we talk about the Rome Statute of the International Criminal Court, which is situated in Hague, and so the Rome Statute talks about that the International Criminal Court deals with 4 atrocities, and these 4 atrocities are genocide, crimes against humanities, war crime, and the crime of aggression. So these countries are demanding that on the lines of genocide, ecocide must be made a international crime also. And as of now, there are around 11 countries which consider ecocide as international crime and national crime, and one of the few countries which have done recently included ecocide in the category of national or international crime, and that is, the example is Belgium. So ecocide is a crime in 11 countries, and with 27 other countries on the line to accept ecocide or to include ecocide as a crime in their country. Like for example, Ukraine as of now is trying to get the evidence that the Russia which is attacking the Ukraine, by that attack Ukraine is having severe environmental loss. Like for example, the attack which was made at the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant. So when the attack was made, the huge smoke which came out or the chemicals which came out from the nuclear power plant caused huge environmental destruction. So these are few of the examples which as of now Ukraine is collecting to file a case against Russia in the International Criminal Court. Even though there are few countries which are not part of the International Criminal Court, and few of them are US, Russia, India, China. So these countries are not part of the International Criminal Court. And the International Criminal Court works only in those countries, or they can give their decision in those countries which are member of the International Criminal Court. And that is why the Russian President Vladimir Putin cannot be arrested, even though the ICC has issued a warrant against the Russian president. But because Russia is not a member of the ICC, Vladimir Putin cannot be arrested in Russia. He needs to visit some country which is member of the ICC to get arrested by the ICC. Then Belgium has recently considered ecocide as a national and international crime, and is the first European country to do so. And there are other countries on the line other European countries on the same line to include ecocide as a crime in their own countries, for example, France and Italy. So these were few of the topics that we discussed, and now we have 4 practice questions on the same lines of 4 news that we discussed. So you people will give me the answer in the comment section. And how will you do it? Write 1 answer 2, answer 3, answer and 4, answer. So the first question is that which greenhouse gas or gases are emitted due to the degradation of teal carbon ecosystem? Methane, carbon dioxide, both A and B, or none of the above. Second question, in which year was Culladio National Park recognized as India's first Ramsar site? 1971, 1981, 1991 or 2001? Next question, the IUCN status of the lion-tailed macaws is vulnerable, endangered, critically endangered or near threatened. Then last is, during which war was the word ecocide used for the first time? Vietnam War, Korea War, World War I or none of the above? So give me the answer in the comment section. And the last thing is that on the occasion of Hindi Divas, Drishti IAS has come up with a flat 40% discount on all online courses, pen drive courses, test series and DLP. And you can also avail 20% discount on the Drishti Publications books also. So this offer is valid from 13th to 14th September. You can download the Drishti Learning app or click on the link which is given in the description box, or you can also give us a call at 8010440440 or 87501 So take advantage of this opportunity. And that's all for today. Thank you so much for watching. Till we meet next time, keep reading, keep writing and keep subscribing to the channel. Thank you.
For more informative content, like, share and subscribe, and do not forget to press the bell icon to get the notifications.